This is my stance on Nicolas Jackson. Yes, I've seen the debate, the debacle. Interested clubs, Aston Villa and Manchester United. So now it's time for us to discuss. It's time for us to really wrap this in a bow and make it palatable. What is the situation? What is the grey area that no one seems to want to get into? Because this is not black and white for me. I have backed Nicolas Jackson throughout his time at Chelsea. But I understand the frustration. I understand the end of your tether type talk. Because at this point, you have seen a player that has cost you in high stakes games, in matches against Flamengo, Newcastle, those red cards. He has making up to do. He has definitely trust to earn back from the Chelsea faithful. But there are so many factors involved here as to why the situation is ever changing, ever flowing. And for me, I don't think it's actually as big a deal as it's now being made out to be. I understand people are annoyed with him. I understand that he really did almost cost us Champions League football and Club World Cup. But when it comes down to this situation, we have now seen João Pedro come into this club and spearhead this attack. And that changes a lot for me. Because when Liam Delap came in, I said to myself, after what has happened in the previous season with Nicolas Jackson, there's just no way that I can trust Chelsea to progress and succeed with just Liam Delap up front with Nicolas Jackson. I don't want two second-grade strikers. I want someone who can lead this line effectively, responsibly, with that killer instinct. So I've done a video in the archives on let's replace Jackson with Ekitike, or let's try and upgrade him. Let's try and, improve this position, because he's not perfect. This is a player that we signed from Villarreal for 32 million. He was known as a wide player, didn't really get that academy, upbringing. He didn't really get that goal scoring, side of his game figured out and sorted. He was always a chance creator, always a dribbler, always someone that could give a decent weight of pass and just platform other attackers to hopefully score more goals, because he's got 5 assists in both his Premier League seasons. He's got 14 goals in his first and 10 in his second. So these are not horrendous, outrageous, disgusting stats, especially when you put some context on the second season, the one's just passed, which is out of those 10 goals, 9 of them were before mid-December. So that means he's got 9 goals in half a campaign. He was on a good trajectory. He was on a trajectory of, he's actually starting to improve. We're seeing some nice finishes. West Ham away, Liverpool away. Wow, this player is really starting to mature, take responsibility. Some people were even saying, Nicolas Jackson's proved me wrong. And then from mid-December onwards, we saw nothing. And then a hamstring injury. And then 1 goal. From mid-December all the way to mid-May, 1 goal. You could take the positives and the glass half full out of that. You could take, obviously, the negatives and the glass half empty. But the truth is, what is factual is there was no competition for him last season in that striker role in the squad. Whether it was a misprofiled Nkunku or a Gue, which are not adequate options to compete with a young striker who still needs to mature, as we've seen, still needs to have that kick up the arse, still needs to have that competition, still needs to feel like his place is up for grabs, still needs to earn the right to lead Chelsea up front consistently, because he hasn't yet shown in his finishing and his aerial ability that he is that guy. But Chelsea failed him. As much as we speak about Jackson failing Chelsea in these big moments, these red cards or whatever chances he missed last season when he didn't put away the Premier League's second highest chance creators behind Liverpool. He was one of the culprits for not putting the chances in the back of the net, along with Madueke, along with everyone up front, Palmer, Neto. Can we talk about how Chelsea also let this guy down as well? Can we talk about how we didn't get that striker? Whether we left him in a hotel in London in Samuel, whether we saw attitude issues with Duran, who's having issues with Jose Mourinho and now at Fenerbahce. Point being, we didn't get that other striker. And when maybe he burnt out or he got complacent or he thought his shit didn't stink, and then whatever young players do when they drop off, why they show these inconsistencies in the first place. I do realize he's 24 years of age, so that whole young player thing, we got to be careful with it going into the next season if he's still here. But where was the other person? Even if an Olivier Giroud or, you know, someone to just say, hey, this is Chelsea. Or someone in training, little clip on the ear. These are the things a young player needs. This is something that Nicolas Jackson needed. But this is something Nicolas Jackson has now. So, João Pedro being in his first few games as great as he's been makes Jackson less important, makes Jackson less of a nuisance or whatever you want to call it. His significance at Chelsea's diminished. And that's a good thing probably for him and for us as a fan base and for Chelsea on the pitch. Because now, I don't think he's as big as a talking point as he needs to be. I don't think I think now we're pretending like he's completely useless. Now we're pretending like he has nothing to offer. Like he can't play as an option, as a striker. And yeah, we could still play really good football as we did last season where we were second in the league with him up front going into that game against Everton where we almost thought we'd go top of the league. Jackson was a part of that team. So for now, Jackson to not even be an option out of 3 strikers, I think we're doing a bit too much. I think we're being a bit too overdramatic. Of course he can be an option. It's not going to kill us. He could still improve. Now, what caps him right now is his finishing and his aerial ability. But if you do give him goal-scoring options from wide areas and competition as well on top of that, I think you could still get great things out of Jackson. So I wouldn't be so, and I'm not, especially with my replacement, my upgrade in Hugo Ekitike going to Liverpool. And we know that Chelsea won't get a Mateta and they won't get a Guirassy. I wouldn't be so pushy to say that Jackson has to leave Chelsea. Get him out of my club. Are you sure? Because for me, right now, we have perfect harmony, perfect competition. I want Chelsea to go into next season in the Champions League, FA Cup, Carabao Cup with 3 strikers. I want them to have 3 strikers. I think that's the perfect amount to have at your football club. Drogba, Anelka, Kalu. You know? Drogba, Remy, Diego Costa. Drogba, Torres, Anelka. I mean, so many different variations, variety. This is, for me, the perfect harmony, the perfect competition, perfect balance. You have a striker in Jackson that some people have alluded to he could play as a left winger. In the terms of dribbling, in terms of shoulder to shoulder, you know, chance creation, all of that, okay, maybe it could work. But at the same time, do I trust Nicolas Jackson to cut in on his right foot and give me a curler, give me a screamer, give me a low XG, high quality shot from an angle that you don't expect to score from, but you kind of need to? If you're going to start being a winger on your right foot on the left wing, you're going to have to start giving me those bangers. I don't think he's got that in him. When I go back and look at his goals, he doesn't shoot well from those angles off the left wing, doesn't shoot well with the pace, the venom, the accuracy that's needed when you're coming in from that flank. So I have my reservations on that. But you could shoehorn him over there if you had to. This is a guy, by the way, that presses. This is a guy that works hard, wins the ball high up the pitch. Chelsea, at their very best, counter-pressing, as we saw against PSG, winning the ball, suffocating teams, making them feel like they can't breathe. Jackson does and brings all of that to the table. Do I just want to just give that to Manchester United or Aston Villa? I mean, Man United in particular, you put Nicolas Jackson up front for them with Mbeumo and Cunha coming in from those inside 10 positions, running off of him. And he's just a facilitator, the guy that platforms them, lays it off to them, combines and connects with them whilst they actually shoot. I don't think that's something we should just be giving over and handing over and saying, oh yeah, la-di-da. It's not like a Madueke situation for me, this one. I do feel like this player has shown more at Chelsea, end product-wise, effective. You know, he's had a bad end to the season, don't get me wrong. But the environment we created around him in that striker role is partly to play. So, I'm not saying that it's completely off the table. Someone come bid 70 million, 65, maybe even 60. Conversations can definitely commence. But you're going to have to give us quite the sizable bit of profit on our 32 million spent from Villarreal. In my opinion, that's how it should be. I also think this player in Jackson is significantly better than Guiu for this team. When I see the wide areas, what Neto can give in front of goal on the direct transitional play, we saw it in the Club World Cup now, hopefully he can continue it. When I see the strike Esteval gave Palmeiras from his low XG crazy angle against Chelsea, I see goals from around the team, which is what Maresca's trying to put together, share the responsibility. I just think Jackson is a far superior footballer than Gue right now. I don't think that is a solution as to, oh, sell Jackson and Gue as third choice. I wouldn't trust Gue on the Champions League stage if we needed him. Conference League, Champions League, big gap, big difference. Whereas Jackson, it wouldn't be my first choice ahead of Pedro, but I'd have him in there and say, okay, cool, we can make a front three with that, Gittins, etc. And then Aston Villa, Emery. You know what he can do with forwards. If he wants him, there's a reason why. Yes, he's worked with him at Villarreal, but we saw glimpses from Rashford, Asensio. I'm not sure that's a good idea giving him over there either. So I'm just saying, it ain't sounding as good as it seems to many. Not for me. I don't know how you guys feel. Obviously, there's a cap. Like I said, his finishing's got to improve drastically. His box movement's got to improve. His aerial ability's got to improve. And either those things improve, or he's on a time tick. He's on, the clock is ticking on him if he doesn't improve those attributes. Or you better do a Roberto Firmino thing, and the goals better be coming in from wide. Esteval, Gittins. Those are the two I look to in particular. Esteval's goal against us, Palmeiras, Gittins, what he's shown at glimpses. If those guys can start smacking in goals like mad in the coming years, then someone like Jackson as a facilitator, platformer, whatever you want to call it, yeah, okay, profile-wise, that makes sense. But I just want to bring a bit of a grey area to it because, like I said, I'm admitting, as someone that backed him, I was disappointed by him. I was annoyed by him. I did have a replacement lined up for him. But I also don't want us to get into this dangerously comfortable position where we just flog him off and we pretend like he didn't do any good, or he doesn't help the team play better, or he doesn't add anything to the side. Because if we do get injuries to João Pedro, or Liam Delap is struggling, or we are up against a low block and it maybe doesn't suit him the best, and you need options. You need options. And this guy is now 2 seasons deep, fairly experienced. If he can just keep his head together and mentally can understand and has the capacity to understand that he is now an option and competition, I don't see this as something we need to touch unless a massive bid comes in. Unless Arsenal come in, because you know that Arsenal love to come in and come back. You know, if Gyökeres don't get done, hey ho. If Gyökeres ain't completed and Arsenal got 60, 65 million, maybe. But like I said, guys, respect. It's not as bad as it's being made out. His stocks couldn't be lower right now, and I'm here to put them back on a fair, even playing field where they should be. I don't think it should be as bad as it is right now. But you guys let me know in the comments down below. For me, like I said, I think we've got perfect harmony. Pedro, who can do a bit of everything. Ball striking ability, leading from the front. Seems like he wants that pressure. Delap, robust, on the break, direct, doing all sorts of argy-bargies. And off the bench, especially if you're winning and you've got space to run in behind, everything's lovely. And then Jackson, low blocks, combining, connecting, laying things up for others. And if you can make it work, it's not the worst situation in the world to have him as a second or third choice. But you guys let me know in the comments down below, please. I'd love to know what you're thinking and feeling. Nicolas Jackson, do we sell him to Manchester United, Aston Villa, or even Arsenal? Or do we keep him and just make peace with what we have up front in attack? The options seem to be running out. All players seem to be signing for others. And we just focus on that left wing, that left back, and potentially that goalkeeper. Let me know in the comments down below. Big up your damn selves in a bit, people. Peace.